And today I'm doing the plan with me for August for the book side of my bullet journal. As this is the first month that I've ever done, I am setting up my reading challenge spread so that I can keep track of how many books I've been reading throughout the year. So my goal is to read 100 books in 2018, and I decided a really nice way to be able to track this would be to draw out a bookcase. So this is basically what I'm doing here. As you can see, my colouring is pretty appalling, but hey, practice makes progress, so hopefully that'll get better as we go. I know I miss out a few lines here or there, but don't worry, I do go back and add them in either in this video or later on, so those of you who are getting mildly anxious about the missing top line, it does appear later, I do promise, and it will appear in later videos. So after I'd done the outlines, this is me just kind of going through them here, and I tried to draw as many different sort of shapes and sizes of books as possible, just to kind of give it a bit of variety. There are 100 books here, and there's basically 10 on every shelf. So it takes quite a while to fill all of these out. This took absolutely forever, and I have drawn everything out in pencil form beforehand to make sure I got all the spacing right, which is a consistent theme throughout this bullet journal. As it is my first spread, I really didn't know what it was going to be like, and I was not very confident to start out with pen, so everything is done in pencil first. On the right hand side of the bookcase, I drew in, as you can see, loads of little kind of knickknacks and details, and then I went through and decided to rub them out in the end because I actually kind of preferred the bookshelf with the really sort of minimalist look to the left. So I decided to get rid of the decoration, but who knows, if I fill this one up and end up doing another bookshelf, maybe I'll go for a bit more of a decorated look. So this idea is one that I've seen on Instagram all over the place, so I'm not going to claim that I invented it in the slightest. There are too many to name any particular inspiration, but for me the inspiration for coming up with a bullet journal for my reading in general was very much inspired by BooksandLala, and I've linked her channel down below. She has a really nice journal for her videos and book tracking, and I decided it was something that I wanted to do as well. So now I'm doing all the lettering here. I'm not very good at calligraphy. I've only just started learning and practicing, but I watched a video on how to basically make it look like your writing's calligraphy by just sort of colouring in bits. That's what I did on some of the writing here. Now I made a few mistakes, so I went back over with a white gel pen just to sort of tidy up some lines, which again, consistent theme throughout this video, lots of mistakes. And now it's time to colour in all the different books that I've read so far. As we're in August, I have read a fair number. At this point, I'd read 55, so I'm just going in and colouring them all through. So there's 60 on the right and 40 on the left. So I knew I could just colour in the left-hand side super quickly, nice and easily. And then when we get to the right-hand side, I did have to count through to make sure that I got the even number. And then the idea is every time I read a book, I'll just come back and colour in another one on here. And then eventually, it will all be coloured in. So this is me just kind of going through that. For those of you who are wondering, the notebook that I'm using is the Scribbles That Matter A4 dotted in green, and the pens I'm using currently are the PuTwo watercolour paint brush set, and everything was also done with the Staedtlr fine liners. Is that how you pronounce that? Everything has been linked in the description box below as well. The fine liner watercolour pens they link through really badly, as you can kind of see, so I do keep flicking backwards and forwards. So now I'm going to do August and the spread for that, and I decided my theme for this side of my bullet journal was going to be watermelons. The overall theme was fruit for August, and I decided to go for watermelons this side. And I just wanted to sort of have a bit of a collage of a load of different slices for my front page. So what I decided to do was colour in one to see what it looked like, and then from there go over and do all of the other bits in it as well. So colouring in through here, they do bleed through tons, which was a real pain. So I was trying to be as light as I possibly could. Also, apologies if I keep flipping people off. I had a tendency to hold down the page with my middle finger on my left hand, and there are numerous times where I'm pretty sure I swear at you guys loads. So I'm really sorry if I'm consistently swearing at you throughout this video. It's a habit. I will now try and stop now I'm aware of it. So there we are. We're just sort of colouring them. This took ages again. And what I did for some of the bits that you can see there is put some paper underneath when I'm going over the edges, because I kept accidentally colouring on to the next pages. I didn't really like the bright pink, so I decided to only do it on a few. I actually much preferred it with just the pale pink look, but once you've done one, it kind of felt like I should do more of them. So just going through and fine lining now. I make tons of mistakes, but that's absolutely fine. As my first spread, I kind of figured I would. So there's loads of times where, as you can see, I go over the line. So I went through, back in, and we'll go over that with a white gel pen. The gel pen I'm using is the, let me find it in my collection. It is the Sakura Jelly Roll in white. There we go, just trying to fix that little mistake there. It's not brilliant, I would definitely need a new one. Now this is my video planner. And this is going to be all for my booktube videos, planning out what I've filmed, what I've edited, all that jazz. As it's my first time doing it, I didn't really know how much planning space I'd want, so I decided to just go for a simple monthly outline. This layout I took from AmandaRachLee's channel, and the drop shadow was definitely inspired by her. That's something that she does loads of. She's got a brilliant channel which has got tons of tutorials, and she does amazing plan with me's, and she's just like got the nicest voice on the planet. So if you are new to starting out with bullet journaling, definitely go check out her channel. She's inspired me tons, and a lot of the themes and sort of tips and tricks that I'll be using later definitely come from her. So now that I've done the boxes, I'm just going through and putting in some of the little detailing. So I put a little key down here, which is what I'm just outlining now, so that I can write in when I've filmed a video and when I've edited it and when I've actually posted it, because I'm pretty sure I'm going to get hopelessly lost and confused and end up filming things and then not actually use them. I decided as well for the top to just go for some little watermelon slices with just the first letter of each day of the week in it, so that I could use that to keep track rather than writing out all of the full words. And then I just wanted kind of a general ideas page down, or like section down the side. So again, I tried to do a bit of a drop shadow. I'm not convinced the S went very well. Any tips for that, please let me know. And then decided a bit of a shadowing in the background so that it sort of had a defined area, and to add a little bit more colour, because the spread was looking very functional but bland. So now going in and adding in a bit more detail, I decided to go for a full watermelon there, going for that very pale pink. I keep flipping over the page to see how much it's bleeding through, because I was absolutely petrified of like ruining previous spreads. So if you see me constantly flicking, that's why I'm doing that. And now classic rubbing everything out. I do this tons in these, by the way. The pencil I'm using, I haven't told you what it is because I don't know. It's just a generic pencil I found laying around the house, like proper yellow stereotypical school type pencil with a rubber on the end. I'll probably buy some nicer ones at some point, but it'll do for now. Now this is a really super simple spread, and it's just going to be where I write down what books I've read and my thoughts on them. So I don't know, again, how much space I'm going to need for this, so I left it super blank. And I'm fully expecting this to end up being way more pages in the book as I go through the month. I then knew I wanted to do a bit of a kind of calligraphy background, so I decided to practice on like a spare envelope before actually going into the journal itself, which I think is a really good way of just kind of testing out your handwriting directly before doing it, so that you can get your spacing right and everything. Classic rubbing out, love it. Now I went back to the front and decided to add a general title page. I just went for sort of a hippie, artsy, crystal, general vibe. That made sense. That was a great sentence. I didn't find a ruler, so I'm using a generic business card I found in my purse, because, you know, using high quality tools and equipment is very important when bullet journaling. But I think this just highlights, like, if you're putting off getting started, then you should just, like, because you don't have the right stuff, you should really just sort of jump in and go for it. Oh, by this point, I don't know if you can tell from the video, but I've actually got some Crayola super tips from Hobbycraft, because I was really hoping that they wouldn't bleed through anywhere near as much, and they were better, but they still have a bit of a kind of shadow effect, as you can sort of see there. So I sort of now use a bit of a mix between the two, but you can tell just from whether it's the iconic sort of white pen there, or whether it's the black PuTwo watercolour ones I mentioned earlier. This page I really went in with no real plan. It was just sort of a bit of fun. So that's why the writing's a bit funky, the crystals are a bit funky, there's nothing sort of particularly specific. The crystals, there's a brilliant tutorial for how to do them on AmandaRachLee's channel, and I definitely use that loads when it comes to how to kind of line them and make them look really nice. I don't think I'm brilliant at it, but again, for first time, I'm fairly content with how it looks, and hopefully I'll get better as time goes on, which is all you really want when starting a new hobby. So yes, I'm fairly happy with that. There were loads of little mistakes that, again, going back in with that white gel pen, need to get a higher quality one of those because I feel like it's going to be a highly used commodity given how clumsy I am, especially with the liners. My hand would just kind of jerk in the middle of doing a straight line and would get all these sort of little segue bits off. Finally, I had this blank page, so I decided to put in a quote about books. This is by Stephen King, as you can see at the bottom, and it says, "Books are a uniquely portable magic," which I just thought was so beautiful and relevant. And it was a good opportunity to play around with some different fonts. So as you can see here, I'm just sort of messing around and trying out some new ideas, and I think these blank pages at the beginning of months are a brilliant opportunity to test run stuff that you might want to use later. I mess up this C so much right now. Like, look what you've done to it, Emma. You've now made it look like a claw. It looked a little weird, and now you've just absolutely messed it up. So that was frustrating, and I wish I could kind of go back and fix it, but we live with our mistakes. They're all learning curves, aren't they? And now this is just me colouring in the rest of things. Again, this banner, brilliant tutorial by AmandaRachLee. As you might have guessed, I love her channel. And she's got some brilliant videos for inspiration on how to do titles and where to put them in and everything. So I'm now just going through it and fine-lining. This ended up being a very purple spread without me really planning it to be. But that's okay, we've embraced the purple. Everything was very green and pink from before, so clearly I was in a purpley mood this day. I'm sorry as well, you get so much of my head in so many of these videos. Like, look, there I am, hello. Just need to learn where my camera actually is constantly. I also need to dye my hair. That's definitely something. Fingers crossed, by the time you see another one of these videos, I will have dyed my roots back out and I'll be back to being a ginger. So this is just me fine-lining the rest of it. I didn't really like how this lettering turned out. I was kind of going for sort of a lit around the edge sort of look with the purple, but I don't think the contrast was high enough and it ended up looking a bit weird. In real life, there is more of a distinction between the purple and the black, and the camera really didn't pick up on it very well. But even with that, I'm still not particularly happy with it, so I don't think that's what I'm going to do again in the future. But I did really like the banner, and I thought 4 out of 5 of the letters of the word magic were looking really slick, so generally I was quite impressed with this. And then I just added a few splashes of yellow to brighten up the excessive purple. So that's pretty much it for my book journal. You'll see a bit later I've got a lifestyle journal as well, which is the front part of this, and I'll be doing you a little talk through of that. So I really hope that you enjoyed this, and thanks for staying tuned to my first ever bullet journal, and I will see you soon. Bye!